This land isn't just in your blood. It's under your fingernails and worn with pride. It's not a job. It's your livelihood. Here, overtime is all the time. But you wouldn't have it any other way. It's written into your DNA. It's what you thrive on. And while farming will never be easy, we can make it better. Introducing the Pioneer 100 series. Meaningfully different canola hybrids.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio. Thanks so much for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your workday. I'm your host, Shaun Haney of RealAgriculture.com. And also a big shout out to everybody listening out there on the RealAg Radio podcast as well. We so appreciate your willingness to make us part of your day here and us be one of your information sources, all the things that are going on in the world of agriculture. Of course, the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we are going to hear from Colleen Redlick from Pioneer Seeds Canada today on the program. We're also going to hear from a great roster of farmers that have been on the show before. They are, as I always say, they're wily veterans of the program. We're going to hear today from Tyler Lester, who is out of Ontario. We got Jack Froese out of Manitoba. We got Kent Ericksen out of Alberta. And we've got Kevin Buchner out of Ontario as well. And Colleen, of course, is from Saskatchewan with Pioneer Seeds Canada. Now, let's talk about Pioneer Seeds Canada. Pioneer 100 series. This is the highest yielding Pioneer brand canola hybrids ever. This isn't just better canola. It is different canola. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative or visit pioneer.com/100 series to learn more. And of course, hey, listen, how about those Blue Jays, baby? Great victory over the Yankees last night. So I flew from Calgary to Toronto, and they have live TV on Air Canada flights. We're able to watch the game, which is always a cool experience. The planes cheering and yelling, and everybody watching the baseball game. The guy beside me said it was the first game he had watched all year, and he was 100% into it. And then I ended up in Fergus. And so that's where I'm broadcasting from here today as I'm speaking in Elora today to CAFA at their law and tax update for their association. So looking forward to doing that. But on the drive up to Fergus, I was able to listen to the game on the radio. And honestly, Ben Schulman did a great job. Great call of the game. Great victory. Bring on the ALCS, baby. Okay, let's start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada in Bloomfield, Ontario. We're talking to Tyler Lester. Tyler, how are we doing?
Doing good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. So, give us an update. How are those crops? How's harvest been?
Surprisingly well for how little rain we had. The corn does not look great, but there are soybeans in the field. We went a little over 70 days with basically zero rain whatsoever. We got 3 showers with less than an eighth of an inch of rain in that 70-day period, and I was quite worried about what we were going to get. But there's something there.
What do you attribute it to? That's a long time without rain. So what happened?
I don't know where the soybeans came from. I have no idea. Not a clue. I don't even have a bad guess.
What's the thought on what you're going to see out of the corn?
We're going to see a third or less of a crop out of the corn. There are a number of guys in the area with crop insurance who have worked under corn because there was nothing there. The corn in those fields was less than waist high and not an ear in sight. And there were some soybean fields where guys have just planted wheat through the soybeans.
So, Tyler, when's the last time in your area you had this kind of a disappointment around the corn crop?
2001 was the last one that I remember that was this significant. That 2001, the maple trees were dying. It was so dry.
Wow. Okay. So how does all of this? So good up to surprise on the soybeans. You're expecting disappointment on the corn. How is that all factored into your crop marketing? In the last 10 days or so, the commodities have crept up slowly, little bits here and there, but an upward trend over the last 10 days. Still, the market price is not great. We might be getting close to a break even on a good crop, and a lot of my neighbors were all glad for crop insurance program. Do you think is there ways where do you think crop insurance could be better or more helpful in these situations, or do you think it's pretty adequate?
In my situation, I'm quite satisfied with it, but I have a couple of other business avenues that I can rely on to make up for shortfalls. Guys who are strictly relying on cash cropping, our insurance program here, you can get up to a 90% guarantee over a 10-year average, and then it's paid out based on a market price. So when you get a poor crop and a poor price, your crop insurance is guaranteed to be poor.
This would be described for sure. I think as definitely a challenging year. Is that how you would describe it, or how would you put it for your area?
Oh, absolutely. Challenging for sure. I have to say that unfortunately we lost a neighbor to suicide because of the crop and market conditions. And I've heard from a few other friends and neighbors, people I know in other areas, that's not an uncommon thing that's going around North America right now, and it's not a nice thing to hear about or talk about.
That is terrible. That is awful. Oh man, that is we just don't want to hear those kinds of stories, right? That's the part, and want to remind everybody of the resources that are out there, and it's probably, when you hear a story like that, I feel bad for saying challenging, because I'm not sure the word challenging matches to the story you just told me. No, I agree. And I have to say that community-wise, locally here, effort has been put into, I'm not going to say outreach, but community support for sure. We had some community barbecues to get people out, and farming. A lot of the draw for the farming lifestyle is that when you don't feel like putting up with the outside world, you go get in the tractor cab and you turn the radio off and you drive all day. And it's not a lifestyle that leads many people to reach out and ask for help. So it's a difficult situation all the way around in times like this. Yeah, well put. Just to switch topics here, we saw the Farm Credit Canada land value report for the first half of 2025. It said that land in Ontario was flat in increase in value, or decrease, I guess. Basically staying at zero. Is that what you've been seeing in your area?
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Not much land up for sale locally right now. We're seeing the residential market soften, and prices are down, and there's a lot more for sale signs on housing, but not seeing a lot of land for sale, and the few people that are talking about selling, the land prices that they're thinking of asking are certainly not increasing. I wouldn't say that they're decreasing, but certainly following, the last 6 months to a year's market trend.
Yeah, one of the points that Lindsay Smith from our team pointed out, she's out in the Ottawa area, and she pointed out that the fact that there was for sale signs going up, period, on land is an indication of softening, because that hasn't been the case. Land was being traded before a for sale sign even went up, so that's a bit of a sign there. We saw this week Prime Minister Carney was down in Washington D.C. Did you happen to see any of that footage?
No, I've been too busy getting equipment ready for harvest, and I really, beyond knowing that he was there, I haven't paid much attention to what came of that meeting.
Yeah, well, it went pretty good. It went pretty good for sure. They were laughing and joking and seemed to go well. I guess from your farm's perspective, how important is a continuation of a free trade agreement with the United States?
Oh, I would say it's a big deal. All of our equipment comes through the United States, and a lot of our markets are dictated by U.S. markets, and a lot of our regulatory infrastructure is, if not directly taken from the U.S., is certainly made to align with U.S. regulations. Because we trade with them so closely and share such a long border, I understand why that why that has to be, because they're our biggest trading partners. So,
well, Tyler, I really appreciate you joining us here. I'll let you get back to getting that equipment ready for the rest of the harvest that's in front of you. Hopefully the corn yields, they surprise you to the upside like the soybeans did. I hope that is the case. All the best to you.
All right. Thank you, Shaun. You have a good day.
That is Tyler Lester. He's out of Bloomfield, Ontario. We got more coming up here on the Farmer Rapid Fire on RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. It's now time for a product spotlight. We're talking right now to Tim Dara, canola technical strategy lead for Bayer. As growers are thinking about hybrid selection for this upcoming year, what's compelling in the DeKalb portfolio?
I mentioned DK401TL. That's a special product, I'll be honest. It yields fantastic. It offers the dual trait in terms of TrueFlex and LibertyLink, so it gives a lot of flexibility for growers. It just has a lot of great fits across Western Canada. We're also offering a new hybrid this year on the TrueFlex side of things, DK904TF, which is the highest yielding glyphosate-resistant hybrid that we've ever tested. It has a great opportunity for guys in those areas that are looking for that fit. We're right now in the middle of that seed selling season, and we're in the middle of our DeKalb Harvest Rewards offer. In that offer, growers stand to save up to $75 a bag on canola when they book by October 31st. And that's for all DeKalb hybrids, so the entire lineup's available for that offer. And if growers are interested about that and want to learn more, they can talk to their rep or talk to their agronomist, or they can go to DeKalbRewards.ca and find out more about it.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
Up next, we take the Farmer Rapid Fire into Winkler, Manitoba, and we're talking to Jack Froese. Hey, Jack, how are we doing?
Doing really good. We got 10 degrees, sunny outside, and things are looking good.
Yeah. Harvest all wrapped up, or what do you got left?
No, we finished everything but the corn, and we're getting ready to get into the corn probably tomorrow.
Okay, how you been feeling about the yields?
The yields have actually been very decent. The soybeans did really well, dry beans as well. Canola was not quite what we expected, but still a good yield.
Yeah, and what's the thought on what you're going to get out of the corn?
The corn actually looks really good. It's got nice cobs with deep kernels, and the reports I have here in the area here are 170 plus.
Okay, and where would that be relative to what you would budget for at the beginning of the year?
I don't know what we normally like. The last couple of years have been really good yields, But I think on average, guys, if looking at 165, probably if they could attain that on a regular basis, probably be happy with it. But the last couple of years, we've been getting quite a few bushels more than that.
Okay, and so when we get yield maybe a little bit above where we originally had thought, that's a nice surprise. Is it enough to put some of the crop types in a point of profitability, or is it still pretty red on that income statement?
The prices are really down from last year. I mean, corn is now, I think it's under $5 right now. So even with a good yield like that, your cost of production is so high, and you have drying costs and the like. So it's just tough out there.
Yeah, and you look ahead to 2026, those input prices, it doesn't seem like they're going to be any lower, Jack.
I know, and especially fertilizers, I guess it's a global market, but prices are up there, and normally when you get the prices on the crops coming down, usually the fertilizers and those things have a tendency to follow somewhat at least, but boy, that's not the case this year.
Yeah, and if we do see a big ad hoc funding program to U.S. farmers, especially on soybeans, the one impact that does have on the Canadian grower for sure is it increases the probability those fertilizer prices stay higher because the demand's going to be there. Oh,
exactly. And that's the one thing farmers really can't cut is fertilizer, because that's cutting your own throat, right? You need the fertilizer to produce the crop, and so you can bank some of the fertilizers, but eventually the bank runs dry, and nitrogen you have no choice. The phosphates maybe a little bit of a reprieve that you can take for a year, but down the road it'll be costly.
Yeah. Have you had a pretty good run on equipment?
No, we excuse me. We haven't done much equipment shopping in like bigger items, at least in the last couple of years. The smaller items, grain handling equipment and the like, is kind of what we've been after, but not the big equipment.
How's it been operating, the stuff you do have?
It has been working really good for the most part, but when you do have the breakdowns, it's just so costly. The parts prices and everything has just really escalated in the last couple of years, and they're not coming down. Grain prices go up and then they come down. Everything else goes up and keeps on going up, seemingly.
Now, what are the equipment dealers, what are the service departments saying to you? Are they saying, because during COVID, it was all about supply chain and can't get stuff. Are they saying tariffs now, or what's the reason for the expensiveness on the parts side?
That's a tough one. I don't know why they haven't come down. Haven't spent that much time with the dealers in the last while because we've been hectic trying to get the crop off. But even availability of some of the things is not the way it used to be. You just, you kind of are almost guaranteed you will pick it up where ask the dealer for a part and it was there, but it's not quite the case anymore. You might have to be looking at several dealers, or a dealer might forward you to another guy who might have it.
Yeah, I think a lot of farmers share that same experience for sure. Hey, we had the FCC land value report come out, and Manitoba was one of the top performing provinces when it came to land values in the first half of the year. What are you seeing in your area there in Winkler?
Oh, prices sure aren't dropping. That's the amazing part with everything else kind of the prices dropping and stuff like that, but the land prices are strong and still escalating. If you figure some of the latest prices we heard around here, when you're talking, $17,000-$18,000 for prime land for an acre of land, that's it's impossible to pay back unless you're into some specialty crops or some the vegetable crops. I guess are doing quite well, but still to be paying those kind of dollars for land, it's tough to make that work.
So is that locals, or is that other farmers coming into the Winkler area, or is it just kind of a mishmash of a whole bunch of different kind of investors?
A lot of it is actually local. It's not so much. There's some colonies that come in and pick up some of the land, But also, there's also a fair bit of it going locally, and just guys adding to their operations, and potato operations are doing well, I guess, because they're the ones that are also investing heavily in that.
This week we saw Prime Minister Carney down in Washington, D.C., meeting with President Trump. Did you see any of the footage of the meeting?
I saw a little bit of it, yes.
Yeah, what were your thoughts? Are you happy with how Carney performed or the outcome? What was your reaction to all of it?
Well, he gave us a lot of expectations, and just haven't been meeting those expectations. And boy, there's two areas where we need help, and the canola especially. Those markets need to open up. The China one is probably more critical than anything, but again, the U.S. market has been our stable market for years and years, and that's the market we need to have fluid, because that's the big market, and that's the market everybody's after, and we had it, and he needs to make sure that he's in good standing with Mr. Trump, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of manufacturing in the Winkler area there, where a lot of steel being purchased and used, and obviously you're pretty close to the U.S. border as well. I'm sure some of those manufacturers would really like to see some of these tariffs go away as well. Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of manufacturing here. Steel goods, motor homes, plastic products. They build furniture, all these different things, and the market has been, for the most part, been the U.S. market. The trailer manufacturing plant, Load King. So it's the Canadian dollar has been dropping a little bit to help ease some of the pain. But you need those markets to open up and the tariffs to be removed. And we've had this free trade with Americans for so many years, and all of a sudden we're running into all kinds of stumbling blocks here. So it's causing a lot of grief just doing the trade itself. Yeah, and yesterday we had Brian Voth from IntelliFarm on the show. We were just talking like having any sort of a path to resolution on the China tariffs. It just doesn't seem to be really evident, or at least not very clear. At least, do you expect, if things stay the way they are, will your canola acres be the same, be up, be down? What are you thinking? I think if this continues like this, the acres will be down. Cost of production are high. Your fertilizer that you have to use for that crop are extremely high. And this market needs to be resolved. I mean, China's largest market. Where else are you going to go with all this canola? They're the ones that have been consuming it, and if they back away, I don't know if there's enough market for all the canola that we are producing. Well, hey, Jack, I really appreciate you joining us here. I know it's super busy time of the year here with it being fall, so thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. You bet. Thanks a lot, Shaun. Hey, we'll be back with more of RealAg Radio, brought to you today, of course, by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Important update from FMC. Precision Pack DB878 Pro herbicide is now registered for use in front of oats, along with spring wheat, durum, winter wheat, and barley. DB878 Pro herbicide delivers proven kochia control, including herbicide-resistant biotypes, plus extended control of cleavers, dandelion, narrow-leaved hawksbeard, and volunteer canola. And with Precision Pack herbicide customization, you get the acres you need. No leftovers, no wasted time. See your local participating retailer today.
RealAg Radio is Canada's only daily radio show focused on agriculture. Get expert advice on Agronomic Monday. Tuesdays and Wednesdays will cover a broad range of issues. Thursday we'll hear from farmers across the country on the Farmer Rabbit Fire. And we'll wrap things up Fridays with the RealAg Issues panel with Kelvin Hefner and Lindsay Smith. Join us Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern. And don't forget about the replay at 7 in the morning on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM.
Ever hear that good things come to those who wait? Well, we think it's more like great rewards come to those who book their Invigor hybrid canola early. Through the Invigor Book and Buy Grower program, you could earn a $30 per bag rebate when you book all your Invigor needs by November 14th. Speak with your local retailer about eligible hybrids. Terms and conditions apply. Book early. come out ahead.
Up next on the Farmer Rapid Fire, we're going to go to Irma, Alberta, and we're talking to Kent Ericksen. Hey, Kent, how are we doing?
Oh, not too bad. It's a brisk morning, but the weather is good, so it's all good up here.
Yeah, fall's in the air.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it definitely is. We had I'm sure the full moon, I think, was last week, or, it's right around now, and so we've had a little shift in some cooler mornings. There's some frost, but it's been a pretty good harvest fall for our area.
Well, with the fall, we've been talking to the other farmers about harvest, but let's start with cattle. How glad are you that you got into the cattle business?
Yeah. When I got married, I was lucky enough to have somewhat of a dowry, and we had like 10 or 15 cows back. Oh man, it seems like forever now, 2004. And we've kind of bounced around, and the last probably 2 years, because we had a really tough year last year with no rain and, not a great yield. And so, that cattle check this year and last year will definitely help as a mixed farm. I think over the course of many years, I've heard that before, that while it seems like you're year-long working, it really helps to balance out some of the cycles.
How the harvest been?
Yeah, it's been good. It was quick. We have no moisture, like I said, again, this year for the fall. We had a little bit of moisture in the summer to get our canola to finish. So I would say we were pleasantly surprised from the beginning of the year to our canola. I would say we're in that average, maybe a couple fields a little above average. We're in a little bit of a small pocket. I think you go around. It mattered to where the rains hit in the summertime around here, because we kind of had a big area. We had no spring moisture, so we kind of relied on surface. The wheat's probably below average. Just kind of, again, early seeding was the one anomaly this year that didn't work great. Like real early seeding, I think, just because we had from the 12th to about the 15th of June with no rain. But some of the crops that were able to kind of hold on until the rains came kind of filled into the average. As for harvest, we went probably 30 days straight combining, so it was a real nice harvest for sure.
Did the later seeded crop do better than the early seeded then?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I don't know if it's consistent around the board. I think it depended on if you had a little bit of early rain, the early still did okay, but in general, the later stuff, like for example, we had our wheat in on about the 25th of April, and because of the rains, we were going into the boot already in, the 15th of June. Oh, wow. And those heads are small. And then they did fill. Like I said, we probably averaged 40, which I'm guessing, maybe 45. Our average probably nowadays with the newer technology and some of the, it's 45 to 50. So, any of the early stuff just didn't get those heads going. They just kind of went to boot really early.
One of the things I got asked this week I was given a talk or a speech in Calgary, and I had somebody ask me, what do farmers do? Do they plant canola in 2026? And I said, well, I think they're going to be seeding canola for sure. How much or how less? That I guess that's one for farmers to answer, not me. If everything stays the same right now, do you see it backing off your canola acres or about the same?
Well, our farms, I think in general, I don't know, guys, so, canola is such an easy one to market. Everybody now is used to how to grow it. So lots of people, get a little uneasy trying to diversify on their broadleaf side. Like, maybe there'll be a little more peas at the same time. Everything's kind of predetermined on politics, right? I think, you have a tweet or you have an announcement on, the political environment, and peas were going to jump. So I think that's going to be probably a discussion at the coffee table and the market table over the winter of what they do. We watch peas go from 12 or 10 to $12 down to $7 or $6.50 in a matter of weeks. So guys are going to be a little nervous changing. We're thinking of diversifying again, going back to my dad had a longer rotation, 10 or 15 years ago that we kind of shied away for a variety of reasons. And I think I'm going to go back to that. I see enough positives in some of the other crops to go back to, maybe a little flax, some malt barley in the rotation. I mean, we got cows too, and they're making good money. So a little bit more feed, stuff like that.
Yeah, my guess is I just don't see this dramatic drop in the canola acre. I don't know. I think a lot, like what I hear from many growers that we talk to on this show, my rotations are pretty set. There's like a little bit of flex acre, so I don't know. And I was talking to a farm management consultant earlier this week, and he was talking about how, even with all the issues, canola still was one of the better profit, not maybe not a profit, but one of the better financial performing crops relative to the others.
Absolutely. Like, if you look at the hit that we did have on tariffs and on some of the other world, and yet you still see canola only down, $1.50, maybe. Like, it was $14.15 was okay. We're down to $12.50. If you look at the percentage, it's went down compared to say wheat or peas or some of the other ones. I think canola is still at $12.50. If you can push your yields to 50 plus, you're still able to, it is a more expensive crop to grow, but it's a pretty easy crop to grow, to harvest. And, we're fairly good at it, where the other options, especially if you're sticking with get a little tricky, peas that go flat, or you have, some disease in it, or flax, if you haven't grown it before, that's a nightmare at times. So, yeah, I don't think the canola is going to change. The cereals are going to be interesting. Wheat has really taken a black eye on marketing. When you go from 10 or, whatever the price is, 11 down to 7.25, and you're only getting 40 bushel crop, to 45, that really took a hit.
Yeah, and peas, you mentioned peas a couple times, but a lot of areas are limited on how much they can expand their pea acre because of things like Aphanomyces. And you look at lentils, there's a lot of lentil growers, they're trying to find a bid on their crop, never mind, having a whole bunch of pricing options. So, yeah, it's a very fascinating year. And I was talking earlier with Jack Froese about from Manitoba is the fact that it really looks like input prices on fertilizer are definitely likely to kind of be holding where they are today. You don't get a real feeling that fertilizer prices are going lower at this point.
No, it's, the grain side is quite different than the cattle side on that regard. You see some spikes in, success in pricing and things like that. And then we have, again, I'll pick on wheat. What did it go down? Maybe 30, 40%. Have you seen, I don't see anything on the input, machinery or anything on that side dropping as, consistently. And so you really have to figure out, what's the best bang for your buck on, lease payments or purchasing new equipment. Maybe you got to sell a couple of pieces of equipment, do some more kind of efficiency adjusting, I would say, just to try to, get through your years.
Yeah, we had the FCC land value report for the first half of 2025. The Prairie provinces performed actually quite well compared to places like BC and Ontario. Land trading in your area up like in that national average around 6%?
Yeah, I would say land is normal, still going up in that, there's when land comes up, the discussion now does creep in on, does it make sense? On a grain farm, you have to really look at, what your land base is like, how you can spread that out. At the same time, land doesn't just, especially in your circle, doesn't come very often. So when it does, there's still 2 or 3 guys in the market, and that's all you need, right? It's like when you go to an auction sale, the price, if you have 2 or 3 people bidding, that's enough to bring it up to market or above market price.
I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago where they said they're going to put some of their less performing well land on the cropping side. They're going to put it back into pasture, which I thought was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I've farmed long enough now to see it where when cattle prices are really well and grain tanks, that you start seeing grass get seeded, and then vice versa. When cattle tanks, I remember kind of in that BSC era, you were seeing a pile of grass get torn up. I think you could see that. The canola side is really interesting, Shaun. I'm not sure where that's going to land because I don't see necessarily a whole bunch of entrants into the market. Even though it's a ridiculous good return, there's still a lot of work in cattle. It's really hard, GPS and things like that. You can't use a GPS quad to move your cows. You still have to, have humans and horses or quads or something like that. So I think there's going to be more That's why I just don't know where the market's going to go there. The cattle market is such an interesting one right now.
Yeah, it is indeed, my friend. And how about those Blue Jays? That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Everybody, if you're in the know, I mean, you know baseball pretty well with your family being involved. Like, I think, the last game where they lost 9-6, and there's the fair weather, ball fans that don't quite understand, the cycles of, pitching, and, you're not going to win every game in a row. You're going to have, some ups and downs. You ended up in a hostile Yankee environment, and then you come back yesterday and just have a good, solid game. Hey, you get the breaks, right? I think both games were won by errors.
Yeah.
Especially in a tight game like that where every run matters. That little error by Chisholm, up the middle. The one before with Barshow, just, I think that Yankee Stadium had some wins going on the last couple of days, because that left field line was crazy. It seemed like everybody was struggling on that left field side.
It was fun. I love Vladdy in the postgame with Ortiz. Duh, Yankees lose. That was great. Hey, Kent, have yourself a great rest of your fall. All the best to you, okay?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Shaun.
Great stuff. That is Kent Ericksen out of Irma, Alberta. We've got more with the Farmer Rapid Fire coming up here, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Soil health is under pressure, but real solutions start below the surface. Black Earth offers a full suite of humic solutions, from high-purity granules to powder, liquid, and soluble formulations, all powered by pure Humulite. Formulated for performance, backed by consistency, trusted by growers worldwide from one of the world's rarest reserves. Grow stronger with the power of Black Earth Humulite. Learn more from Mine to Market at blackearth.com.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word, absolutely the best part of my day.
Up next here on RealAg Radio for the Farmer Rapid Fire, we're going to Brownsville, Ontario, and we're talking to Kevin Buchner. Hey, Kevin, how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty great after a Jays win last night.
Oh, man alive. Wasn't that awesome?
Oh, beating the Yankees is always awesome.
The Yankees lose. I just saw a clip of Pedro Martinez on one of the networks talking about how Vlad Jr. is his godson. And he said that when he used to play for the Red Sox fans used to say, "Hey, Pedro, who's your daddy?" Meaning because the Yankees always beat them, right? Until that, obviously, that big comeback that one year in the playoffs. And Pedro was running around on the set saying that, "I'll tell you who the Yankees' daddy is. It's Vladdy. Vladdy is your daddy." So it was pretty funny. So, yeah, big win. And next series starts on Sunday. We'll wait to see who the Jays play. But, yeah, I couldn't imagine what tickets are going to be at the Rogers Center.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be crazy even for nosebleeds.
Absolutely, on that 500 level. Okay, hey, how's harvest going?
Good. We finished beans, we planted wheat, and we're just going to start corn soon. So we're making good progress. Things are super dry our way, so it's easy going so far.
So how did the beans perform?
I would say we're about 20 to 30% less than normal. We definitely were very dry, and we got a lot less rain than normal. Okay. So when you say it's been dry, like how? Because we were talking earlier to Tyler Lester, who's in Bloomfield, and he was talking about, it's been really dry, and they're expecting corn yields to be about 30% less than normal. Is that what you're thinking too? Yeah, we're going to be about the same range. Man. That really sucks, especially in the time of the year here where markets have come down and input prices are high, right? Oh, yeah. It's hard when you're trying to book the fertilizer for next year and the price hasn't gone down, but the crop yields have. Yeah. Okay, so when do you think, I can't remember, did you say you have started the corn or you're about to? We're about to. We haven't quite yet. Okay, when do you think you're going to get going? Probably Friday, I think, is looking like where we're going to start. Of all the crops to harvest, is corn your favorite? Yeah, well, it's the last crop, so it's always a little exciting to be on the last one.
Well, and this weekend is Canadian Thanksgiving, so it's better to be. You feel a little bit better when you're combining corn in October and early November than at Christmas time, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know it used to be that we always wanted to plant the wheat before the Thanksgiving, but nowadays it seems like we get it in a month earlier than Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no kidding. Were your wheat acres about the same?
Yeah, we usually kind of keep to a strict rotation and just base it off that and don't really follow the market as much as some people do.
Yeah. What else is going on the farm this week? Just kind of getting ready for harvest, or you got other little things you're trying to do on the farm?
Well, we're a dairy farm as well, so we are kind of gearing up to take some oatlage off too as well.
Oh, okay.
That after the wheat crop.
Yeah, talk about that oatlage. How does that? What do you do there?
Pretty much, the wheat comes off, we spread some manure on the field and plant the oats in, and then we usually sometimes we spread some fertilizer on it, depending how it's looking or how much feed we need. But then, usually beginning of October, we cut her and just put her in a bunk, and then it makes amazing heifer feed for us.
How long have you been doing that?
About 5 years now.
Okay. So because it's a second crop, but oats do, they do a little bit as a cereal. They do pretty good during some of the heat of the summer, or decent, relatively speaking to some of the other cereals. What kind of yield would you get off of that oatlage?
We're looking around like 4 ton an acre.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good on top of another crop you've already gotten, right?
Oh yeah, it's usually a bonus. Every once in a while we won't take it if we really don't need it, and it's just a cover crop. But this year we're a little short with the drought.
Now we've got. You know what? I was going to ask you. So, is there any other ways that the drought has impacted the dairy business for you, or is it more because there's been a lot of heat, so that can have a factor on the output of those cows too?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate that things didn't get crazy hot here, and we invested a lot of money in keeping the cows cool. We always installing more fans, and we have a soaker rail over top of the feed bunk, so when they go up and get feed, they get a little soak, and it really cools them down. Yeah. But we did take a little bit of a hit, and mastitis became an issue, obviously, with that extra heat, too, as well.
Yeah, it is amazing how comfortable cows keep great production, right? Keeping them comfortable, and it's more so of an ideal temperature. It really does present some positive returns for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Happy cows, happy life.
Yeah, that applies in other areas too. Okay, so any other big plans for this fall or into the winter?
No, nothing too crazy. I just got a new planter, so I think that's going to be my learning curve for the winter. Ours was getting pretty old, so we've updated a lot of technology, and it's going to be a bit intimidating, but looking forward to kind of learning everything I need to learn and getting that all figured out.
Did you buy a brand new or a used one?
I used one, but it's got all the fancy precision technology and the row shutoffs and everything like that, and then a cart and solid fertilizer, so it's going to be a big change for us.
You're going to think you went to heaven.
Well, technology can be amazing when it works, but not when it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Hey, one of the things we saw in the last week here is Farm Credit Canada came out with their land value report for the first half of 2025. Ontario was flat, actually. What are you seeing in terms of land trading in your area? Is there more land trading or more for sale signs? What are you seeing?
Our area is kind of definitely stale, but there's definitely not a lot trading. Usually it's kind of just connections through neighbors that it's selling, and not much on the realtor website, that's for sure. But yeah, prices have kind of stagnated a bit.
Has it made it hard to grow the farm, or are you trying to grow your acreage?
Well, it's kind of hard to justify the returns on investment on $30K an acre of land, so I don't know. We've kind of looked at improving our dairy more recently than the land base, but we did purchase some property last year, but it's only one of those ones that's got to be the right property.
It's one of those where it's closest, it's adjacent to other stuff you have. Obviously, some of the land doesn't trade that often, and so it's like one of those like, okay, if it ever comes, we gotta step up and buy it.
Yeah, it's one of those. You just tell us the price, which usually doesn't end the greatest, but yeah.
That's not good leverage in negotiating. Just tell us what the price is. Oh, good stuff. Well, hey, Kevin, really appreciate you joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you this fall, and hopefully that corn surprises you on the yield front.
No, I wouldn't be upset with that, but thanks for having me on, Shaun.
Great stuff, and go Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays.
We'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire right after this. Built on over 100 years of seed innovation and unwavering commitment to farmers, Pioneer 100 Series canola hybrids deliver a step change in yield performance and agronomic traits. This isn't just better canola, it's different canola. Pioneer 100 Series. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative or visit pioneer.com/100 series to learn more today.
Whether you're running a farm operation, in a career within an organization, starting your own business, looking for your dream job, operating a company in agri-food, or want to hone your overall life skills, this conference is for you. Celebrating over 10 years of bringing women in ag and food together, join the Advancing Women Conference in Niagara Falls on November 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Visit advancingwomenconference.ca for more information and to register.
And welcome back to the Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And speaking of Pioneer Seeds Canada, we're joined right now by Colleen Redlick, who is out of Saskatchewan. How are we doing today, Colleen?
I'm great, Shaun. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, hey, before we get into canola, I got to ask you about football. Because
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, I told you're a big New York Giants fan, actually the biggest Giants fan that I know, and I told you coming out of the draft you would be pleasantly surprised with the running back selection in the 5th round, Cam Scadaboo. Are you liking what you see so far?
Liking is such an understatement. I'm in love. I cannot wait to see more Scad every week. He's just runs through a wall. They say he's like out there looking for CTE when he's like lead blocking for Jackson Dart. I think the future's super bright for the Giants. You were 100% right. This is looking like a great draft, Shaun, for the Giants, right? We got Scadaboo, we got Dart. Abdul Carter is, I think, standout rookie, defensive rookie of the year. I'm biased, but it's I'm excited. I'm shaking now. We should have maybe ended with this instead of started. I don't know how we're going to talk about anything else, but yeah, he's, to your boy Scadaboo, absolutely unreal. I think he's going to be a darling of New York City until, I hope he doesn't hurt himself. And
I watched it for 2 years at Arizona State. It just keeps getting better and better. His head is like a battering ram, and he loves the contact. His after contact balance and yards after contact are absolutely outstanding. It's hard to believe that he had no D1 offers out of high school, and now look at him.
He was a steal, an absolute steal.
Absolutely. I wish the Bears would have taken him before the Giants.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's get to canola. Right now we got trial results coming in. We're talking a lot about 2026. I guess from your perspective, what have you seen this year that we need to roll over into our decision making for 26?
Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting year. So, I mean, I cover, northern Saskatchewan into northeast, and one of the things I think it taught people is this year is not last year, and next year is going to be something totally different, right? We had such an abnormal year when it came to the start. We had drought where guys had never seen drought. We had people really expose some things in their agronomy that maybe had been working in the past. I joked with one of my Pioneer agencies, we probably could have just thrown canola seed out the window of the tractor where he's at because they get such good moisture and they have such good dirt. And this year it was dry, and there was, split emergence. There was drills hairpinning where, causing issues with missing canola in fields, and just a lot of things like that, right? Where when everything's going good and you've got good conditions, it really hides a lot of things, not only with your agronomy, your farming practices, but sometimes with the hybrids, because they, kind of all do a similar thing. You're happy with everything. So this year we kind of saw some things that just really highlighted that every year is different. And one thing we've been talking a lot about, as pioneering with our agencies, we've got a big portfolio. We don't sell one canola hybrid for Western Canada, because there are different fits. There are different hybrids that perform better in different places and different years. And because the year you don't know when you seed it how it's going to be, looking at that multi-hybrid strategy is one key thing, right? We've got stuff that does well in different conditions. That's really coming out in the trial results this year. So when you're talking to your seed supplier, let's get into that. Do we need some earlier material? Do we need some that's a little later? We talk about staggering seeding dates. Guys are never going to do that. We can keep saying it, but they're not. So what can we diversify within the hybrids to help them have a better chance of success versus just picking one horse and riding it hard all year, because that's maybe not going to work.
Yeah, it's sort of back to our football analogy. It's, maybe giving some carries to 2 or 3 backs as opposed to just overloading the one back all the time.
That's right.
If you want to stick with agriculture, let's talk about it from applying more of maybe a corn hybrid selection strategy to canola, where I don't know what the averages are at this point. Let's just say the average farm has 3 or 4 hybrids of corn, maybe more on the farm. In canola, there's a lot of people who are just comfortable traditionally with fence post to fence post, all one hybrid. Yeah. I think there's a reason for you present a really good reasoning and practicality to why you maybe want to move to 2 or maybe even 3.
Yeah, we see that a lot, right, guys? This is my one Roundup canola. This is my one Liberty canola. And that's kind of, for simplicity's sake, what they want to do. And, it's, like I said, it can work sometimes, but it's not necessarily going to be the best strategy. So, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, okay, so, and the other thing we saw this year that this year's problems are not always next year's problems.
Thank God.
Thank goodness, right? And it could be that way too with things that went well. And this year, because of the moisture in the back end of the year for parts of Western Canada, and because of kind of the lack of heat in some spots as well, like I think it was hotter in September than it was in July in southern Alberta, for example, the lated seeded canola, a lot of farmers told me it did a lot better than the early. That doesn't mean that should be our strategy for 2026 as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, and here it was so hit and miss with seeding dates. So I would say, we actually saw some of that where the later seeded stuff was better, but it really depended when you got that rain, right? Yeah. We had guys that went a little bit early to try to take advantage of some moisture. The canola came out, and then if it kind of languished waiting for the rain, that wasn't a great strategy. But I mean, you couldn't wait till June 20th was the first time in some of the areas in the northeast of Saskatchewan that we got really a good rain. So it's, you're right. You have to look beyond just last year's results. And I think that's one thing, for all of us as agronomists, as we roll up these trial results, just to keep that in mind. I love it's hard with canola because we're always switching our hybrids. We're moving the genetics forward so fast. But a 2-3 year summary, right? Like, let's not just look at how something did for 1 year. Let's get a real good idea of how the hybrid performs in different conditions. Kind of like Scattaboo, it's not one game. This is now a body of work we love.
Yeah, well put indeed. Okay, well, hey, I really appreciate you joining us here. It's always great to talk agronomy, and also we got some football in there as well, which I of course love, as do you. All the best to you.
Thanks, Shaun. Talk to you later.
Let's make sure you remember Pioneer 100 series. It's the highest yielding Pioneer brand canola hybrids ever. This isn't just better canola, it's different canola. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative or visit pioneer.com/100 series to learn more. Big shout to Pioneer Seeds Can for being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. If you have any feedback on today's show, send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. Thanks so much for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio, and we will, of course, chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.